Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshtaki Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Valitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We are continuing to read from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 3, Chapter 15. Yesterday we read about the 10 offenses in chanting the holy name. And then now we continue reading text 26. Brahmaji has been speaking now. So we'll continue reading. Tad Vishvaguru Adikritam Bhuvane Kavantyam Divyam Vichitra Vibudha Griyabhimana Shochihi Apu Paramudam Apurvam Upetya Yoga Maya Balena Manayastad Ato Vikuntam. Thus the great sages Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandana and Sanat Kumar, upon reaching the above-mentioned Vaikuntha in the spiritual world, by dint of their mystic yoga performance, perceived unprecedented happiness. They found that the spiritual sky was illuminated by highly decorated airplanes piloted by the best devotees of Vaikuntha and was predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahmaji is continuing to speak of the narration of when the four Kumaras, when they went to Vaikuntha. The four Kumaras are his sons. And then how did they reach there? Because of the mystic yoga performance. They're devotees of the Lord. The four Kumaras are also devotees of the Lord. And just by being in Vaikuntha, what happened? They experienced unprecedented happiness. Here in the material world, for us to become happy, we have to do something. We don't just feel happy just like that, you know. There has to be a reason here. Either somebody told something to us, or we are with someone we want to be with, or we got something, or, you know, something or the other. We have to work for the happiness. But in Vaikuntha, we don't have to work to be happy. Just by being there, we feel happy. That's the nature. Ananda, no? Ananda, because Satchid Ananda, that's the nature of the spiritual world. So just by being there, there's unprecedented happiness. Then, or what else they found? That there were many aeroplanes, decorated aeroplanes, not the aeroplanes like we have here of iron, but these aeroplanes are made of gold and jewels, unimaginable jewels not found here. And then who was piloting the aeroplane? The best devotees. So they don't have to take a pilot test or study or, take practice of flying, but they have that naturally, can pilot the planes there. So, and then the Vaikuntha, it's predominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nobody forgets the Lord over there in the Supreme, in the Vaikuntha world. It's only here in the material world, because we want to forget, he covers himself up through this agency of Maya. Actually, there is nowhere that the Lord is not there. He's everywhere. That's why he's called omnipresent. There is nothing that does not belong to the Lord. So reading on, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second. So there are no two gods. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second. Srila Prabhupada's choice of words is so amazing to cut out our misconceptions. We say, oh, everyone is God. There are many gods. This one is God, that one is God. But what is he writing in the first line of this purport? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second. Means there is only one Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are no two, only one. He is above everyone. No one is equal to him, nor is anyone greater than him. Therefore, he is described here as Vishwa Guru. So no one is equal to God. No one is equal to Krishna. No one is greater than Krishna. No one. And we can never become God, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not a post. We can become Brahmaji, we can become Lord Shiva, we can become Indra, Surya, because those are posts. Like we can become Minister of Transport, we can become Minister of Agriculture, Minister of whatever, Education. We can even become the President or Prime Minister of a country, the Supreme Ruler of a country. But we cannot become God, because God is not a post. It's not a post that we can apply for. So reading on, he's the prime living entity of the entire material and spiritual creation, and is Bhuvaneka Vandyam, the only worshipable personality in the three worlds. The Supreme Lord, everything belongs to him. The material world, the spiritual world, he's the owner, he's the boss. You know how we have CEOs of the company, so they are like the boss of the company. So like that, who's the boss here of the material world, the spiritual world? Is Krishna. Of the hellish world also. That's why it's called the three worlds. He's the only worshipable personality. The airplanes in the spiritual sky are self-illuminated and are piloted by great devotees of the Lord. In other words, in the Vaikuntha planets, there is no scarcity of the things which are available in the material world. They are available, but they are more valuable because they are spiritual and therefore eternal and blissful. So if we think, oh, in the material world, I have so much money. For example, if anyone thinks, I have a house, I have a car, but if I go to the spiritual world, there is nothing there, so I will lose everything. No, we can see here by the description of the spiritual world. Everything is there. There are palaces, there is airplanes, there is jewelry, and even more valuable. It's more valuable. And more than that, it is spiritual. So that's why it's eternal and blissful. It's blissful. That's the nature of the spiritual world. Everything there is Sat, Chit, Ananda. Eternal, full of bliss, and full of knowledge. The sages felt an unprecedented happiness because Vaikuntha was not predominated by an ordinary man. The Vaikuntha planets are predominated by expansions of Krishna, who are differently named as Madhusudana, Madhav, Narayana, Pradyumna, etc. So here how we see that the country, before the world used to be ruled by one emperor. Like we hear that Ikshvaku was the emperor of the world at that time. when Manu spoke the Bhagavad Gita to him. Or there were great emperors. Yudhishthir Maharaj was the emperor of the world. Parikshit Maharaj, emperor of the world. Bharat Maharaj. That's why this whole earth was called Bharatvarsh. It was not only the land of India, but the entire earth. So the entire earth planet used to be ruled by one emperor. Similarly, there are so many Vaikuntha planets, unlimited. And who are they ruled by? The expansions of Krishna, different forms of Narayan. The names of few names are given here. The Madhusudana, Madhav, Narayan, Pradyumna, etc. These transcendental planets are worshipable because the personality of Godhead personally rules them. It is said here that the sages reached the transcendental spiritual sky by dint of their mystic power. That is the perfection of the yoga system. So imagine we are on this planet Earth, and imagine if this earth is ruled by Supreme Lord himself. Everyone wants Ram Rajya again, because at that time, this earth was ruled by Lord Ramachandra, and he was a perfect king. He was taking care of the subjects so much. Everyone was so happy that even today in Kali Yuga, people say, oh, we wish it was the rule of Lord Ramachandra. So we can understand, because Krishna, he's all loving. Everyone belongs to him. Everything belongs to him. So he loves everyone. And that's how he rules, with love, not with fear, not with manipulation or exploitation. Okay, and here also it said that the four Kumaras, they reached by yogic mystic power. That is the perfection of yoga system. What's the perfection of yoga system? To go back home, back to Godhead. The breathing exercises and disciplines to keep health in proper order are not the ultimate goals of yoga perfection. So the yoga, it has the 8 stages. It starts with yam, the things we don't do, then niyam, the things we are supposed to do, then pranayam, to keep the health nice, to breathe properly, to have a long life. Why to have the long life? So that we can do dhyan, and then dharana, then gradually samadhi. Samadhi means fixing the mind on the Lord. So that is the Ashtanga yoga process. The yoga system is generally understood as Ashtanga yoga or Siddhi, eightfold perfection in yoga. So what happens in yoga, in the Ashtanga yoga, it starts with yam and niyam, do's and don'ts. And then pranayam, to have a long life so that the health is good, can live a long life. Why? A long life is needed to do all the process, dharana. There's 8 of them, I forget. Then ultimately a samadhi, to fix the mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the goal. So similar. So that's the reason we are encouraged to take a bhakti, because bhakti process is what? We immediately can fix the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. How? By hearing and chanting. We also have do's and don'ts. Okay, what are the don'ts? Don'ts. Don't eat meat, fish, eggs. Don't gamble. No intoxication. And no illicit sex. And what are the do's? Hearing and chanting, worshipping the deity. So when we are doing the do's, hearing, chanting, we are automatically reaching the stage of samadhi, fixing the mind on Krishna. That's why Bhakti Yoga is recommended in this age of Kali. So by dint of perfection in yoga, one can become lighter than the lightest and heavier than the heaviest. So these are the mystic siddhis that one can get by doing the yoga process. And that's why also we are encouraged not to do the yoga process. Why? Because once we get the siddhi, we might forget Krishna. We might forget what is the reason I started doing the yoga. Because now suddenly this yogi gets the siddhi and he's like, oh, wow, I have so much power. Amazing. I can do this and I can do that. And he may forget Krishna. So anyway, the siddhis are few of the siddhis. One can become lighter than the lightest. So the weight can become so light that you can float. Then heavier than the heaviest. can become so heavy, nobody can move you. Then one can go wherever he likes, wherever he likes. So now because of COVID, we have travel restrictions, quarantines. So if you have the Siddhi, you can go wherever you like and can achieve opulences as he likes. So no need to work hard to get wealth or beauty or knowledge. Can just, because of the Siddhi, you can get that. We will see in this, when we are going to hear about Kardamama Muni, how he, just by dint of his mystic yoga practice, he created a floating city, fully opulent. Didn't have to work for it, just because he is a yogi and he could do that. A floating city, very opulent city, could go anywhere he wanted. So sounds good, right? There are 8 such perfections. So would you like to get this Siddhis?
We might forget Krishna, right?
Yes, yes. So is it worth it?
No.
Not worth it, right? Sounds very tempting, but not worth it. Yeah, that's why it's the danger, because you feel, oh, wow, I can do everything. So yeah, better let's not try to get into this Siddhis, So then the rishis, the 4 Kumaras, reached Vaikuntha by becoming lighter than the lightest and thus passing over the space of the material world. So they reached Vaikuntha. Because they can become lighter than the lightest, so they can travel through space. Modern mechanical space vehicles are unsuccessful because they cannot go to the highest region of this material creation, and they certainly cannot enter the spiritual sky. So we can see that science, we cannot travel so much, not unto the space. Not even, only we can go to the nearby planets, cannot even reach to all the other planets, So what to speak of the spiritual world? But by perfection of the yoga system, one not only can travel through material space, but can surpass material space and enter spiritual sky. We learn this fact also from an incident concerning Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambarish. It is understood that in 1 year, Durvasa Muni traveled everywhere and went into the spiritual sky to meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan. So here by the mystic Siddhi, even Durvasa Muni could go to Vaikuntha world. But you know what, if we try to get this Siddhi, okay, let me try to get this yogic Siddhi, and then by my yogic Siddhi, I will go to meet the Lord of Vaikuntha. What's going to happen is that this practice takes thousands of years. And we do not have that kind of time in this Kali Yuga. We barely live for, barely 80, 100 years, if even. And this will take thousands of years. So let's just stick to Bhakti Yoga, shortcut. At the end of this life, we just go back to Godhead. And Durvasa Muni, even though he went to the spiritual sky, he can't stay there. He doesn't stay there still, right? Then, because he's a yogi more than a bhakta. He's more of a yogi than a bhakta. Of course, he's a very great personality. He's a very, very great personality, not to undermine him. All due respect to him. By present standards, scientists calculate that if one could travel at the speed of light, it would take 40,000 years to reach the highest planet of this material world. But the yoga system can carry one without limitation or difficulty. The word Yoga Maya is used in this verse. Yoga Maya Balena Vikuntham, the transcendental happiness exhibited in the spiritual world and all other spiritual manifestations, they are made possible by the influence of Yoga Maya, the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So even the scientists, they themselves are saying that if they make a machine which can travel at the speed of light to reach the highest planet in this material world, it will take 40,000 years. And then to cross beyond that, then reach spiritual world. So we can see that we cannot take the help of science to go to the spiritual world. We don't have that kind of time. 40,000 years. Don't live that much, barely 70 to 100 years, if even, as we say. So the best thing is, let's just do bhakti and reach to Krishna. That's the sure short way, the surest way to reach him. Then why is it so much happiness in the spiritual world is because of Yoga Maya, internal potency. Because Yoga Maya is there, her influence is there. So everyone is happy. Everyone is happy in relationship with Krishna. There's no forgetfulness of Krishna. Any comments or questions?
All good. Yeah.
Okay, so we continue reading. Tasmin atitya munaya sad asajjamanaha kaksha samana vayasa atha saptamayam deva achaksata grihita gadau paradhya keyura kundala kirita vitankavesha. After passing through the 6 entrances of Vaikuntha Puri, the Lord's residence, without feeling astonishment at all the decorations, they saw at the 7th gate 2 shining beings of the same age, armed with maces and adorned with most valuable jewelry, earrings, diamonds, helmets, garments, etc. So now they passed 6 gates. The sages were so eager to see the Lord within Vaikuntha Puri that they did not care to see the transcendental decorations of the 6 gates, which they passed by one after another. So here, our gates are made of iron, steel. Maybe some decoration will be there, but it's all of iron and steel, you know. Over there, the gates of Vaikuntha, they are made of valuable jewels. They're made of gold, unimaginable carvings, transcendental decorations. But the 4 Kumaras, they were anxious to see the Lord. So they did not stay behind to admire the decoration. We go, right? Sometimes we go see, oh, how beautifully this is built. Oh, let me see how beautifully there's so many monuments. India Gate is built, or Taj Mahal is built here. So the gates are built very beautifully, but their eagerness to see the Lord is so much. That is more important to them. Let me see the Lord. But at the 7th door, what happened? They found 2 doormen of the same age. The significance of the doormen being the same age is that in the Vaikuntha planets, there is no old age. So one cannot distinguish one who is older than whom. So I don't think any of us like to get old, right? We don't want to become old. Better we go to Vaikuntha then. Over there, no need to become old. No one is old there. It's being said here that both of them looks the same age because everyone looks the same. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha are decorated like the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan with Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma, conch, wheel, club, and lotus. So they're looking like Narayan himself. These are his servants, gatekeepers, chokidar, right? So the chokidar, the gatekeeper here, the security guard, in the material world, what they do, they'll wear a uniform. They'll have a uniform, but they don't look like the boss. They don't look like the CEO of the company, or they don't look like the president. Who depends on who they are guarding. But here, the gatekeepers, they have the same decoration like the Supreme Lord Narayan. They have the the diamonds, the helmet, they have the jewelry, the earrings. They also have the conch, wheel, club, and lotus. Narayan has these, right? The Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. Conch, wheel, club, and lotus. So his guards also have it. This is how loving Krishna is saying, take whatever is mine is yours. You're my children. Matad vire pavanama likaya nivita. Sorry. Vin yasta ya sita chatushtaya bahu madhye vaktram bruva kutilaya Svuhuta nirgamambhyam rakte kshanena chamanag rabhasam dadhanam. The two doormen were garlanded with fresh flowers, which attracted intoxicated bees, and which were placed around their necks and between their four blue arms. From their arched eyebrows, discontented nostrils, and reddish eyes, they appeared somewhat agitated. Their garlands attracted swarms of bees because they were garlands of fresh flowers. In the Vaikuntha world, everything is fresh, new, and transcendental. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha have bodies of bluish color and four hands like Narayan. So if we want to become God, nobody can become God, but we can look like God if we want. This is what? Sarupya Mukti. This is one kind of liberation. Sarupya Mukti. We can get the same form as the Lord. And then, so they also have four arms. They also have blue color. They are also wearing garland of fresh flowers. And the bees are humming around these flowers, but they are looking somewhat unhappy, agitated. What happened? This is Vaikuntha. Why are they looking agitated? Any comments? Would anyone like to add anything? No? Sounds beautiful, no? Vaikuntha. Imagine. You know, even the gatekeepers are decorated so much.
So were they agitated because they didn't want the four Kumaras?
Yeah, because now we are going to hear
Right?
that. Yeah, we're going to, but it's just we are a little short of time. So I don't want to start this. I'm not sure if you have the time to read this one, you know. So that's why. So yeah, they're agitated that how come you have come here, you know? You four children, what are y'all doing here?
Mhm.
So then the whole thing will start. That's how Jaya Vijaya become Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. This is the story that Brahmaji is speaking. Because the demigods went to him, no? They're like, oh, why everything is so dark? This Diti is having these children in her womb. And because of that, the whole universe has become dark. So Brahmaji is telling them the story, what happened. This is how the beginning of why Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha came.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll end here for today. Srimad
Yes.
Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining in today. Wishing